The men who want to be Florida governor,
but you're running for governor,
holding their one and only debate. An unusually large number of midterm election votes have already been cast, and Florida has more than anyone else. Plus, checking in as Southwest Florida continues to recover from Hurricane Ian.
So much water, there was no way of saving anything, so.
These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Kenneth Bueno.
I'm Leanne Abu Tarbush. Today is Tuesday, October 25th, 2022.
Live from the South Florida Media Network's Biscayne-based studios in North Miami, this is SFMN Newsbreak.
Fight for Florida. It's the morning after the one and only debate between the two candidates for governor. It was Ron DeSantis, the current governor, against former Governor Charlie Crist, who is now a congressman.
The network's Kenya Cardone was at the debate in Fort Pierce last night.
Between heated exchanges and an unruly crowd, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and Charlie Crist brought their arguments to the stage as they fight for that 2022 Florida governor's seat. The Sunrise Theater in Fort Pierce hosted the gubernatorial debate. Being the only televised debate between the two candidates, this was a high-stakes opportunity for them to really sell their agendas. The candidates were questioned on current hot topics, including inflation.
So this is going to be the largest tax relief plan in the history of the state of Florida.
Education.
We ought to teach facts in our schools.
Abortion.
Not everyone's going to be born in perfect circumstances, but I would like to see everybody have a shot.
And I want to make sure we keep a woman's right to choose available to the women of the state of Florida.
And immigration.
Because you like having it as an issue for political scoring.
We had the border that was in much better shape in January of 2021. The Biden administration reversed almost every policy.
Crowds gathering outside the venue, filling up the streets with cheers and chants just hours before the debate. The energy not stopping there.
Please, that needs to be the end of the applause.
The moderator unable to control the audience in between responses.
I led based on facts, not based on fear.
The candidates also caught in a game of tag with their targeted yet repetitive rebuttals.
That's just not the truth, and you know it. You know it.
Charlie Crist has voted with Joe Biden 100% of the time.
So many questions asked, one even a candidate-to-candidate question that was repeatedly left unanswered.
Will you serve a full 4-year term if you're reelected governor of Florida?
With this, of course, a comeback from DeSantis.
The only worn-out old donkey I'm looking to put out to pasture is Charlie Crist.
Democratic running mate Carla Hernandez-Matz making an appearance.
He didn't even commit to being our governor. He couldn't answer simple questions.
Only one common ground of agreement, the sentencing of the Parkland shooter.
When you murder in cold blood 17 innocent people, there's no other punishment that meets the gravity of that crime. And to have one juror hold out on that was a travesty.
The debate closing without any questions on environmental issues nor climate change. And remember, Election Day is November 8th. South Florida Media Network has you covered. Head on over to sfmn.fiu.edu to check out our voters guide. In Fort Pierce, I'm Kenya Cardone, South Florida Media Network.
Florida is #1 this morning when it comes to early voting. According to data from election firm Edison Research and Catalyst, almost 7.3 million ballots have been cast. Among the 39 states that have early voting, Florida is currently in first with more than 1 million votes cast already. California and Georgia are close behind with about 800,000 early votes each.
Heartbreak in the heartland this morning in the aftermath of a deadly school shooting. Yesterday, a gunman walked into Central Visual Performing Arts High School in St. Louis, where he killed a teenage girl and a 61-year-old woman. He wounded 7 other teenagers who are in stable condition. The suspected shooter, who was killed by police, was a 19-year-old who had recently graduated from the school.
Surveillance footage released by Fort Lauderdale police shows a girl escaping a suspected abduction attempt. In the video, the 10-year-old runs down the sidewalk. The suspect can be seen following in the direction that the child ran before turning and leaving the area. According to police, this incident is not the first. The suspect is described as a middle-aged white male with a black cargo van.
This morning, a Florida County sheriff details a human trafficking operation that led to the rescue of 8 Cuban women. The women were discovered at a shopping mall in the Tampa area. They described being forced to work at clubs as prostitutes as a means of paying off their debt for being brought into the U.S. The women have received medical care and safe housing.
This morning, the rebuilding of Florida's southwest coast is only just getting started. The network's Samuel Rodriguez Garcia traveled to the Fort Myers area and has more.
Hurricane Ian made landfall in Florida nearly 3.5 weeks ago. Today in Fort Myers, residents and crews alike are still trying to salvage what was left behind in the wreckage of the storm. With winds reaching up to 155 miles per hour, reparation costs estimated in the billions, and more than 136 people confirmed dead as of today, Ian is the worst hurricane to ever pass through the west coast of Florida.
When the surge came in and the water was over the A dock, then the big waves came in. And when the waves were coming in, our boats on D dock were all beamed too. So in other words, it was hitting us in the sides. And I don't know how big they were, but they were all 6 or 7 feet. One of the pilings drove up through the side of the boat. And then we were I was taking on so much water, there was no way of saving anything. So let the boat settle down in the water, stepped off the side when it got down closer to the level of the concrete docks. Of course, I had a life jacket on, and I made my way in towards the office.
Just to give you an understanding about how bad the storm surge was during Hurricane Ian, we are currently standing about 70 feet away from the nearest source of water and about 15 feet above sea level. And behind me, as you can see, here is one of the pylons that are normally in the docks, which are even further out, and it was carried all the way over here by the storm when the flooding rose.
Well, they just assigned, they were able to go ahead and pass a resolution to have Suntex Marinas from Texas to take over. And they enclosed all the areas with fence all the way around, so you can still come in here and do whatever you need to do, and you can still pull out of here if the boat is runnable, if you can find a dock, because there's no docks out there. That's the biggest problem, especially if you live aboard on it. Construction, it was going to take a while. I mean, it's slowly, very slowly.
Our thoughts and prayers continue to go out to all those affected by Hurricane Ian. This is Samuel Rodriguez reporting for the South Florida Media Network.
The Miami Heat wrapped up a 2-game series against the Toronto Raptors over the weekend at home. The Heat managed to keep Toronto within single digits for most of the game before taking the lead in the fourth quarter. Toronto then found momentum off of Pascal Siakam's 23 points to split the series 1-1. The final score was Raptors 98, Heat 90.
Britons are waking up under new management this morning.
That's still ahead, and so is this story.
It got me very emotional to think that a group of strangers could be my family in the hardest moments.
From pumping water to pumping iron, a fitness center founded by firefighters is making a major effort to fight breast cancer. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
With Julia's autism, loud sounds can be too much.
But she still loves to make music.
Yeah.
Play band.
Early screening for autism can make a lifetime of difference. Find out more at screenforautism.org.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly.
Lights out.
Good night. And put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
I help our fellows design their paths as creative entrepreneurs. My experiences serving startups, creative businesses, and cultural organizations, and my journey as a queer mixed immigrant with Haitian and Arabic roots, inform the co-creative environment we foster at Radcliffe. We leverage our collective diversity to encourage the building of lifelong personal learning networks and mindsets that stimulate continuous innovation.
Think Pink, a workout event in South Florida raising money and awareness for breast cancer research. It was put together by the team behind Legendary Fitness Miami.
As the network's Lauren Wirtz reports, it's a gym that was founded by firefighters.
As the month of October comes to an end, Legendary Fitness and A Love Story Winery come together to raise funds and awareness for breast cancer.
Today will be the 3rd year, and in my opinion, this affects the community in a very positive way, because you realize it doesn't matter your color, it doesn't matter your race, or where you come from. You can join a beautiful cause and help the people around you.
My wife and I exercise at Legendary Fitness, and we maintain good communication with Seoul. So we thought, what better than to have it here and to try to bring all the community to help this. That's so great. This is a grain of salt so that the people can be informed of what breast cancer is and how we can help, and also to show that this place, A Love Story Winery, can be an amplifier.